We often look at successful people and wonder, how do they do it? How do they wake up early, stay disciplined, build businesses, stay in shape, keep their relationships thriving, and make it all look effortless? The truth is, it's not effortlessness. It's not superhuman willpower. It's habit. And not just any habits, but deeply wired, consistently repeated, neurologically reinforced behaviors that have become part of who they are. You see, everything you do, every small decision, every action you repeat, is a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. And that's not just poetic language, it's neuroscience. Inside your brain, there's a powerful structure called the basal ganglia. This part of your brain is responsible for the routines that run on autopilot, like tying your shoes, brushing your teeth, or checking your phone when you're bored. It doesn't need conscious thought. It operates in loops. These loops are called habit loops, and they follow a predictable pattern. Cue, routine, reward. The cue is what triggers the behavior. It could be a time of day, an emotion, or a place. The routine is the behavior itself, what you actually do. And the reward is the payoff, how it makes you feel, what you get from it. For example, you might feel stressed, cue, reach for your phone to scroll social media, routine, and feel a moment of distraction or pleasure, reward. That reward triggers the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with motivation and satisfaction. And that's what makes habits stick. Your brain loves efficiency. It doesn't want to burn energy on decisions it can automate. So the more often you repeat an action after a specific cue and get a rewarding result, the more likely it is to become a habit. Over time, these loops become hardwired into your neural pathways. And here's the most powerful part. This process works. Whether the habit serves you or not, whether it's a healthy morning routine or a nightly binge of junk food, the brain doesn't judge. It only repeats what gets reinforced. That's why breaking a bad habit isn't about trying harder. It's about understanding the loop and rewiring it. So how do we apply this to our lives? First, understand that you are not your habits, but your habits shape who you become. If you want to become someone who is calm, focused, wealthy, disciplined, creative, you don't just set goals. You install systems. You design your days to reinforce that identity over and over again, until it becomes real. And here's something freeing. The science of habit formation is neutral. It's not based on talent, background, or even current circumstances. It's based on consistency. Your brain doesn't care if you had a rough past. It cares if you repeat an action today. This is where the real power lies, not in big, dramatic changes, but in the quiet, daily votes you cast for the person you are becoming. Because success isn't about sudden transformation. It's about small, intentional steps repeated until they become second nature. You might think that to change your life, you need to make massive moves. Quit your job, start a business, lose 30 pounds, meditate for an hour a day, but science and experience tells us a different story. Real, lasting change doesn't begin with big leaps. It begins with small shifts. Let's talk about micro-habits, tiny, easily achievable actions that, over time, create powerful ripple effects. Think of them as small hinges that swing big doors. These are the habits that feel almost too small to matter, but over time, they stack, they build momentum, and eventually, they reshape your life. Take this for example, drinking a glass of water right after you wake up. On its own, it might seem insignificant. But this tiny act tells your brain, I take care of my body. I start my day with intention. That small shift begins to rewire your identity. Or maybe you meditate for 2 minutes, not 20, just 2. That's not about the duration. It's about building the muscle of consistency. You're showing your brain, I am someone who creates space for peace. This is where the real power of habit comes in. It's not what you do once, it's what you do every day. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, puts it beautifully. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That means even the most ambitious goals are meaningless without the systems to support them. And those systems start small. Let's introduce a concept that can make habit building even easier: habit stacking. Habit stacking is a method where you attach a new habit to an existing one. Your brain already runs hundreds of routines on autopilot. Waking up, brushing your teeth, making coffee. These are your anchors. When you tie a new habit to an existing one, it becomes easier to remember, easier to do, and easier to stick. Here's how it works. After I brush my teeth, I will say one affirmation. After I drink my morning coffee, I'll write down 3 things I'm grateful for. After I sit down at my desk, I'll take one deep breath and set my intention for the day. Why does this work? Because the existing habit acts like a trigger, a cue your brain already responds to. And when the new habit is simple enough, your brain won't resist it. Over time, the new habit gets locked into your routine. And when these tiny habits stack on each other day after day, something magical happens. You begin to shift your identity. You're no longer someone who wants to be productive, focused, healthy, or abundant. You're someone who is those things, because your actions prove it. There's a reason why small habits are so effective. It's because of the compound effect. 1% better every day doesn't feel like much in the beginning. You won't notice the difference after a week, maybe not even after a month, but in 6 months, a year, everything changes. Imagine this: a plane flying from Los Angeles to New York. If the nose of the plane shifts just 3.5 degrees south, the plane doesn't land in New York. It lands in Washington, D.C. That's how powerful tiny changes are over time. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed by change, here's the good news. You don't need to overhaul your entire life. You just need to start small. Now, pick one habit, one micro shift. Make it easy. So easy it's impossible to fail. Want to get fit? Start by doing 1 push-up a day. Want to be more mindful? Start by taking 1 conscious breath. Want to read more? Open the book and read 1 paragraph. The key is to show up every day, no matter how small the action. Because each small win builds confidence. Each small habit rewires your brain. Each moment of consistency casts a vote for your future self. The biggest obstacle on your habit journey: resistance. What to do when you don't feel like it, when you fall off track, when the old patterns try to pull you back. But for now, take this truth with you. Success is not one giant leap. It's a series of small, intentional steps taken again and again. Because when you master the small, you change it all. Just when you start to build momentum, something inevitable shows up. Resistance. It whispers, "Skip today. You're tired." It tells you, "This one time won't matter." It makes you question, "Why am I even doing this?" If you've ever set out to change your life and found yourself falling back into old patterns, you're not alone. In fact, you're right on schedule. Because resistance isn't a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're growing. Let's talk about it. Resistance is the brain's way of protecting you. Your mind is hardwired to seek comfort and familiarity. And any change, no matter how positive, registers as a potential threat. That's why when you try to wake up earlier, exercise daily, or commit to a new mindset, the old programming kicks in. But here's what most people don't realize. You don't need to eliminate resistance. You need to learn how to move through. Let's begin with one of the most powerful tools: self-compassion. You are going to miss days. You will slip. You'll procrastinate. You'll forget. That's not failure. It's being human. The real danger isn't missing a day. It's the shame spiral that follows. The voice that says, "You always do this. You'll never change." But guess what? You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent enough to stay in the game. Research shows that those who treat themselves with kindness when they stumble are significantly more likely to get back on track and stick with their habits. Why? Because guilt creates paralysis. Compassion creates permission to begin again. One powerful way to beat resistance is to lower the barrier to entry. If going to the gym feels overwhelming, commit to putting on your sneakers. That's it. If writing a chapter feels too much, write one sentence. If meditating for 10 minutes is hard, close your eyes for one. Momentum builds through action, not through waiting for the perfect mood. So here's your call to action. Choose one habit. Just one. Make it small. Make it doable. Commit to it for the next 7 days. Track it, celebrate it, and most of all, embody the version of you who already does it. Then, watch what happens. You are not here to stay stuck. You are not here to repeat the old story. You are here to rise, to evolve, to expand. And it all begins with the habits you choose today.